Okay, I am here. It's Dave here with the famous Diesel. Johnny Diesel. Do we call him Johnny? Do we call him
No.
do we call him Diesel? What do we call him?
You can call me Mark.
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark Lizotte.
Most people are getting get their heads around that now. So
Mark Lizotte. I keep on remembering. I've seen you. I was going to say I'm 67, so you've been in my past basically my whole life because you only look like you're 25, but you're obviously much older than that. And you've been everywhere around, punctuated in my life for a long time. Even when I was driving down from Queensland before I was doing this, before I had this business, we stopped at Lizotte's on the way down. They said, these are ones. They said, everywhere I've gone, you've been around.
I
So,
actually don't own that. That was my brother.
oh, is it?
Yeah, and because we're the only Lizottes in the whole country, I guess people when they recognize it, they just assumed it was me. But no, that was my brother Brian and his wife Jo that started those. But
Well,
all a thing of the past now because he threw the towel in and said after like, many decades, he was like, I've had enough of that, of being a restaurateur.
but you've been, for me, you've just been a performer. There hasn't been any weird stories around you. There hasn't been any controversies, and you probably know everyone in the Australian music environment and around the world. From touring and being on in festivals and all this sort of
Yeah,
stuff. So it'd be a pretty interesting. Have you got a book?
I've been talking about it, and I feel I've written a few of the chapters in my head. I've actually got a couple of things, but no, I haven't done a book.
Well, I think you should. I think you
I need
should
to.
because, especially as you get older, because we become a lot more sort of existential. Who cares? We don't really care about the pursuits anymore. We just care about the experience. So
True.
I think it'll be a good read, I would say. Okay, so let's try and start at the beginning in case anyone's just turned up. When did you get the songwriting bug? Where did this all begin?
I think the songwriting bug really got me when I suddenly was, yeah, faced with the reality of um, my lack of qualifications when I hit America and landed at my sister's house at 19, or maybe I was 18 or 19. I know I wasn't 20 yet. Um, and I'd run out of money. I'd actually gone to the UK and that didn't go well. So I ended up using my US passport because I was born and lived in the US before that. And I ended up in like rural kind of small town Connecticut uh, and had to get a job. And I was working in a gas station uh, convenience store, not pumping gas, so it's not quite the
Fortunate.
legend. Yeah, of like that's where I got my name from and all that stuff, which is absolute fabrication. I was doing midnight till dawn, and I'd come home, and my sister would be at work. My brother-in-law, both, he was a carpenter and she was a I worked in an eye surgery as a surgical nurse. So I had the house to myself, and I'd be so cranked up from drinking American coffee, all through the night, and sitting on my grandmother's because my grandma had been moved into a care home, but she had been living with my sister until then. And I was sitting on my grandma's bed with all her little things in the room, and I'd come home and I would just sit there, and I had my electric guitar, no amp, just like an electric,
What
just
sort? What was the electric?
well,
Just
my one Strat that I had, my
oh,
black Fender Stratocaster that I brought with me. I had that and two cables I think I brought and one pedal, like an overdrive pedal. It was like just the bare essentials. If I had, was to
and a
get it.
little lamp.
No amp.
No amp.
No amp. No amp, just that. And so I would just sit and play. I mean, I'm happy to play an electric guitar without an amp, just like I can hear it, it's just like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
but
yeah,
I didn't even
yeah,
have, the ubiquitous acoustic that most people, like, write songs on.
yeah.
So there I am jamming on my Fender Strat on the end of the bed. And I just started coming up with stuff, it was like highly caffeinated and sleep deprived, after weeks and weeks of doing this shift job. I'd never worked like, I mean, sure, I'd done gigs and come home at 3, 4 in the morning and stuff, but
Yeah, yeah.
working shift work is like, whoa, that the idea of going to bed, in the afternoon and then waking up at 11 o'clock to go to work is just like, ugh,
So did you break there or did you break here?
Well, this is the thing. I started meeting a few people in New York City. I was writing songs for nobody. I was just like, I had a pad and I had a little dictaphone that I was recording ideas to, and that was it. I just started writing songs, and that ended up being a big portion, a big body of work of the very first album, with the band album, or people refer to it as the Red Album. The Rust cover, and yeah, I started meeting people in New York, and one of them actually said, "Hey, this girl Ramona, she was kind of knew a few people. She was friends with Bob Clearmountain's wife Mary, um, and just knew people in the music industry." And she said, Daryl Hall is looking for a guitar player,
Boom,
and
boom.
he's rehearsing at SIR, auditioning guitar players. I can get you in for an audition." And I was like, okay. And I knew his solo album, had come out. It was being played on radio, that the radio that I'd be listening to in my shift job at night. I flipped the stations up from college radio to commercial rock and back and forth, just, like to keep it interesting. And I knew his album was out, and I'd heard songs from it. And this is Daryl Hall, No Oats.
This is pre-Oates,
Just well, no, this is post Oats.
post-Oates.
Oh yeah, I mean the
So,
Daryl Hall and John Oates
so
were
this is
Daryl.
90s.
This is, yeah, well, very mid late '80s, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And so I get in there, and I'm sitting there, and I think I'm telling the story because I was telling the story actually the other day to someone, and they were like, "Whoa, that's pretty crazy! Like your whole trajectory, your whole everything could have just changed right there."
Absolutely. Sliding
Um,
door.
it might not have been. I probably still would have pursued making a record and being an artist myself and everything, but who knows? I could have like gotten taken on a ride. It might have been, might have slowed things up for me. It might have propelled things. Who knows? But my life would have changed. There's no doubt. And so I watched these guitar players like sitting outside the room, or like sitting around on, with their guitar waiting, and they go in and they come out very quickly. Like I'm thinking, okay,
Uh-oh.
no one's really lasting very long in there. So it's my turn. I'm fairly nervous, but I just want to get it done. I'm just like, just let me do it. Let's get this over and done with. And I get in there, and they ask me what I need, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll have that. I'll have that Marshall. I've got this one pedal. Okay, plug me in. I was
Can I
in there.
just ask? Can I just ask what the pedal was?
Uh, a Boss Overdrive,
An OD. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
only one,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yellow with just two
yeah,
knobs.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it's the one before the tone.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm in there for, I'd say, conservatively 45 minutes going
That
through. And
must have
then,
felt good.
well, it started feeling really good. And um, uh, is it Tom T. Walk? T-Bone Walk, I think. Anyway, his bass player and MD was kind of orchestrating it all, and he started introducing me to everybody, and it was like, what other songs do you know? Do you know this one? I'm like, these are all stuff off his record. I'm like, yeah, because I'd listened to the record and sort of committed it to my brain, and we jam on that. And then we just ended up jamming on something. I can't remember what it was, but it was just a long, long jam. And then in walks Daryl Hall. And because he wasn't even in the room, and I spoke to someone the other day, and they were like, yeah, he would have been in another room in the building, and they would have just gone, hey, come in here.
Yeah.
There's someone in here worth checking out.
The one-way mirror.
And he suddenly appears, and like, so then we jam some more with him in the room, and he has a little bit of a sing. And then it was like, okay.
Must have been surreal.
It was surreal. It was really surreal. And I'm thinking, holy shit, this is really happening. And then so I get home to my sister's in Connecticut. And that evening I get a call. And it's like, they really, really liked you. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's like the gig's yours. And, we're just going to blah, 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 blah. And we'll let you know real soon. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, damn, sort of, I don't remember going, like to my sister, like, I've got the gig or anything, but I was quietly like confident. It's just like, I nailed it, and then 2 days later, I think it was maybe not even, I get a call saying, oh, I'm really, really sorry. But one of the guitar
No.
players that is one of this guy that he's used before has just had a full-on divorce and he's begging him, can I please have the gig? I need the gig. And it was this guy called Jimmy Rip, who ended up playing with
I was ready for and he lived happily ever after.
no. So, but that was actually safe. It was kind of, I look at it as it was like, just wasn't meant to be. Anyway, so Jimmy Rip gets the gig and people don't know who he is. He's the guitar player that has done a lot of sessions. And he also was, when Mick Jagger did his solo thing, he had Jimmy Rip. He was like his Keith Richards. So a very, very solid guitar player, no doubt. And just sort of went, hey, I need the gig. And was like, okay, that I know how that's sort of, nepotism or whatever you want to call it, that kind of when everything's so close like that, it's just, it happens. So,
Did that get you somewhere though, or was that just a?
well, funny enough, only a few days after that, the phone rang again and it was, um, this promoter in WA was putting together this tour with the Angels that was going to go up and do all these mining towns. And it was
Oh,
it was like, you guys can get your asses back here. We'll pay for an airfare to get you home. We want you on this tour. And that's where we ended up meeting our future manager, Brent Eccles, who was the
was
drummer in the
was
Angels at the time.
JB on the tour?
Um, JB, Jimmy Barnes?
Yeah.
No, no, it was just the Angels, us, and one other like local band, I think. Um, and it was all through the top of WA, like Port Hedland, Derby, blah blah blah, all those mining towns. And
He's your brother-in-law, isn't he?
yeah,
But
I
is
met
that
Jimmy.
when did that
So
happen?
I met Jimmy through Brent, because after that we went back to Perth and started playing one little show a week at this tiny little club. And Brent said, "Look, you just need to get out of Perth. You're not going to have nothing's going to happen." But he gave us a lot of hope and sort of he knew there was something. I'd had those songs that I wrote on my grandma's bed, and I started working them into the repertoire, and that's kind of how it happened. And then he said, "Get your ass over to Sydney." We got on a bus. We did. He lent us some money so we could put our gear on. Like ship our back line over on a truck. And we arrived in Sydney, and he had 9 shows a week for us already booked.
Oh,
Like little
oh,
kind of um every kind of show you can imagine, like playing 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the London Hotel in Balmain after the markets closed, things like
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
then we'd drive out to Parramatta to do a support with, the Radiators or Dragon or something like that.
yeah.
And we were just buzzing all over Sydney and Newcastle and Wollongong, just like blue ass flies. Um, with one,
I don't think people realise back in those days, people went to 3 pubs a night. They didn't
well,
just go
yeah,
to one show.
totally.
They just went all over the place because there was so much music
Absolutely.
playing
And
everywhere.
so, people say, how did you do 9 shows a week? Well, Saturday we did 3 shows.
Yeah,
We did afternoon, evening, and then Cardoma Cafe. We were on at 1 a.m.
yeah.
So that's how we did. And then all we needed to do was like 6 other nights, and we had 9 shows. So we had one night off a week, and that was usually Monday, I think. Anyway, it was right about the same time we started doing our 9 shows a week. Brent was in the studio. Jimmy had come back from doing Freight Train Heart in San Francisco, I believe, and he was like, I want to go home." So he brought the album to finish bits and pieces, brought it back to Sydney. He was at Rhino Studios, and he was using Brent and Rick Brewster and Jim Hilburn, I believe,
Ricky,
on
yeah,
that rhythm section kind of thing to finish some bits and pieces because they're an amazing unit.
yeah.
And
Still,
yeah, and Brent said, "Hey, I've got this guitar player sleeping on my couch. can I bring him in? And that's how I met Jimmy. I was sleeping on Brent's couch. Otherwise, I might not have met him.
Is he your cousin or brother-in-law?
Well, we're brothers-in-law through marriage because we're married to sisters. So,
ah?
but
But that didn't
that's
help you. That didn't help you then, because that's a later
yeah.
episode.
No, I met him that
Right.
morning. I think it was 11 a.m. when we got there, at Rhino Studios, and it was literally because I was sleeping on Brent's couch. It's like he just said, "I've got a guitar
But
player on my
he
couch."
was already a ledge, him, Mossy, all that sort of
Oh
stuff.
my God! I mean,
They had about
culture's
they had
good.
about 100 final cold chisel concerts. They had
Oh
final
yeah, I
concerts all
mean,
the time.
Jimmy, after Cultures, he wasted like no time at all and just getting straight into making a solo album, Barnstorming.
He's a legend,
And
no doubt about it.
his work ethic is like no one else I know. He's just incredible. So
But even performance, because he used to do those, how Pink jumps around the stage and flies and does all that sort of stuff. He used to do that sort of gear, down. They used to have the long pathway or whatever you call it in the thing, and he used to fly all over the place and go and back, and
yeah,
he was enormous, just
yeah,
enormous.
I mean,
Mossy didn't
well,
move. Mossy just stood there and played.
a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's just yeah.
There's a book.
I
Well,
just got to see. I just got to see The Last Stand. As a 14, I guess I was, yeah, 14 or maybe 15. But I just saw that last gig in Perth at the entertainment center, and then that was it. They called it quits. So it was like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, but they had a few. They were like Farnham. They had quite a few final concerts. They came back for quite a few final concerts.
Well, later, much later. But after
Yeah.
that, when they did that first Last Stand, that was it for
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
20
yeah,
something years.
yeah. It was a. There's a book here, Mark. There's definitely a book, man, because I just listened to that and that was super interesting. And you've only just touched on, 10 seconds of the start.
Oh,
So
look, I think everyone has a trajectory that's it's mine is no more interesting than anyone else. I
no,
think
no, no, I
everyone,
wouldn't. I don't subscribe to that. I think everyone's has something unique that's taking
yeah,
place, and because you're in so many people's lives from an image point of view, it's very easy to see your
yeah,
image and sort of think a bit like a Prince sort of image. They know who Diesel is because he's got that sort of look, and that look is sort of carried through. And so your story would hit a lot of people. I think you underestimate
yeah.
what
I
sort of
think
popularity it
having
might
a
have.
vivid imagination really helps because I think it's all kind of how you tell a story. Like
Yeah.
the same story if it's told like in a really kind of plain sort of like plain rapper sort of way. It's like okay, well, there's all the facts, but you need to kind of paint you need to conjure up the feeling of how things felt that day. That's I know that I'm kind of uh inclined to sort of to do it that way. That's how I sort of think.
You're
So
lucid. There's a lot of people
yeah,
that have been around the music industry a long time that aren't lucid anymore. They've had too much go on, too much fun.
thank you. Yeah, I think remaining curious is my motto. Just
Yeah.
remain curious
Hey,
because curiosity is the key to everything.
how has your sound changed over the year? Has it changed? Do you have a new sound? Do you go through different periods, or is it
Yeah,
sort of the
no,
same?
definitely. I think I
So
definitely
what's
go
what's
through.
how would you describe your sound?
Oh, look, my sound is an amalgamation of so many things. It really is. There's the blues DNA in there, and then there's a person who loves pop. I love a really well-crafted song. So, um, as much as I love jamming and things that go on forever, and come and see a live show, and yeah, we go out wide with the lengths of stuff and everything. I get carried away, absolutely on stage, but in the studio, I like to keep things kind of pretty concise.
Yep, yep.
It's all about making that record, that recording that takes that person on a little journey, and then like keeps them interested the whole time. You don't get bored with it. So yeah, it's a different realm. Like what works on record might not work live, and vice versa. A lot of the stuff that you do live is just stupid in the studio.
Yeah,
And a
yeah,
lot of the stuff that you do in
yeah,
the studio, you go out and
yeah.
try to do it live, and you go, well, that didn't work. It's like, damn, it was interesting in the as a recording. um,
Okay.
there's one thing I've learned. You can't apply it. You just have to tear up the book. When you do a live show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's like the boss. He'll go out for 4 hours and just keep going, and he doesn't have to. But like you, he just that's the fuel. I mean, you get an audience, you want to play, you've got lots of music in your head that you want to get out, and away you
Yeah,
go.
I feel like once I'm warmed up, it's like you know you you. I mean, I know the gig has to come to an end, but yeah, it's some nights I just
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
just feel
can
like
understand it.
it's
So
really hard disengaging. It's kind of like, okay, well, I just want to keep playing, but that it's like, well, I've got to like pack myself in cotton wool because tomorrow I'm going to do it again as
no,
well. You
that's
know,
one issue. So you've been a prolific music performer, over 40 years. Bootleg Melancholy come out in 23. Nothing since?
um, no, well, that came out at the end of 2023, so I started pretty much almost straight away afterwards. I'd say probably early the next year, around the Christmas period. I remember working on the next body of work, which is pretty normal for me. But in between, I've had numerous tours. So but that's
When's it
hopefully
coming?
well, 2026 is my plan.
Right.
Not sure which part of 2026, but
No, that's all right. I've just
I'm
put it down here as a
getting very
commitment.
close. I've got like the the main frame. Now I'm just sort of finishing off the corners, and I've like do some mixing and mastering, and that's pretty much done. So
And that's you're going to do that. Where are you? In Sydney? Where are you?
yeah, I'm in Sydney. Yeah.
So do you do it at the same place all the time? Do you have a studio up there you do it at, or do
I
you do
have,
it?
yeah. I've been doing records here for the last decade now because I've been in this space. Before that, I used to go to a place not far from here that I really loved going to. They had an old console that used to be at Triple J like years and years ago. It was a big quad eight.
Yeah,
It was fun. I did Under the Influence there. I did bits of Days Like These. I did oh, uh, Saturday Suffering Fools, the blues record. But now, yeah, since I moved into this space, I've got uh, everything I kind of need under one roof, and
good,
it's kind
good.
of like it's always been my dream, Like I just love being self-sufficient and just being able
Yep,
to do what
yep,
I want to do at any time of the day and
yep,
any day of the week.
yep, yep.
It's just like,
Okay, Diesel by requests coming up.
mm.
What are you looking forward to? What can the fans expect from this one?
Well, we just did 15 dates, and next year is 21, and it's just a lot of fun to like to hit the sweet spot with people knowing that like when you make a set list, it's kind of like a bit of a guess that you're sort of hitting. Like I know I've got enough hits to kind of make people happy, so to speak. But when I write these set lists and I've got people's names and maybe little comments and little anecdotes, and it's just like it feels way more connected than going out there and going, well, here's my set list tonight. I hope this is what you guys want. So it's just that one level deeper of like of pleasing the people that have taken the time because that's out of a full house at its just pick any theater, just let's just say the Opera House. Um, not everyone has taken the time, and that's totally fine. Like I don't begrudge people for buying a ticket and then not filling out the survey, but a lot of people do, and those are the ones that are like probably more like I guess you call them super fans, or maybe they're just the ones that have time, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
or maybe some people are shy. Some people are like,
It's
I want to
it's
go to the show, but I don't want to have my name called out, you know?
it's very conscious, Mark. It's very
Yeah.
fan driven, and anything fan driven is
Mm.
basically going to be in the moment because you're obviously you and the fans are having
True.
a back and forth rather
It's
than
nice.
this constructed show. Where do we go? Where do we jump? When do the dancers come on? All this sort of
Yeah.
stuff, which can be a bit rehearsed, and therefore it can miss. It can might have moments where there's a connection, but it's not
True.
based around the connection. So it sounds
No,
really
look,
cool.
look, it's, people say it's really bold and very brave and everything. I can see that, but I feel quite comfortable, and it's like, what could possibly go wrong? I might forget a lyric here and there if it's a song that I haven't played for a while. That's cool. Like,
They'll remind you.
yeah, exactly. So it actually is great for me because every night I'd sort of, I do my set list sort of beforehand, and I sort of open up my Dropbox and I see like a whole bunch of requests in there with comments, and it means like each night is gives a different feeling to it. It's like I'm not like kind of like going, oh, how am I going to make this feel different?
Yeah, yeah,
It's doing it for me, so it's
yeah,
great.
yeah. Okay, we're gonna finish in the next few minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. So I've got all these shit
Yeah.
questions that we always finish on. So you've
Sick.
got to you've got to be a part of this banal sort of answering shit question situation. If you could perform with any music artist, I think they're important though. Shit questions, I think, are informative because basically there's an answer that comes that is a bit right field because basically you're not expecting it and you've got all that music answers and someone asks you a question about something else. If you could
Good.
perform with any music artist alive or dead, who would you choose? If you had a dream, you woke up and you're on stage with someone, is it a Freddie? Is it an Elvis? Is it a
I would love no more than to sing and play some guitar with Mavis Staples.
oh,
I just love
what
her
a
so
what
much.
a I see the Kennedy Center honors with her, and
I'm tearing up as I say it. I'm
well,
like,
I'm telling you
seriously.
that she sings on the Kennedy Center honors with James Taylor. I think it's Tapestry, Carole King sort of thing, and she sung with. She was one of the four that sung when what's her name? Old age man. Respect.
Oh,
She got up there and sung
Rita.
this
Yeah.
unbelievable thing. She has an enormous voice. She's touring, isn't she?
Yeah, I
She's out
know.
here.
She's
So you
got
might get the chance. Go turn.
biggest, yeah, I know. It's as big as a house, her voice. It's just like incredible. So yeah, I mean, I just love I've tried to like cop a lot of her phrasing. It's like I just, she's one of my favorite singers.
She is
Just
spectacular. She
just
is
like
spectacular.
and full stop. That's it. So
Do you still have long-term aspirations? Because you
yeah,
must
I
be
mean,
at
like
35. You must be, getting a bit older now.
yeah, no. Look, I'm still finding instruments that I can like. For instance, on this tour, I've got a double bass with me, and people are like, "Oh, I didn't know you played double bass." It's like it's actually I started on cello, then my brother left me an electric bass. I've only owned a double bass like in the last since I made the blues record.
The living end.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that, of course. I mean, that he's incredible. But
He fucking
I,
jumps on it all the
yeah,
time and plays it. He's terrific.
for me, it's a great kind of departure from like singing and playing guitar. Yes, I'm still discovering ways to do that. But when I get on the bass, it puts me in this completely different space for the vocal to live, and I find it makes me sing differently. So yeah, it's like learning another language, I guess, at some age where people like, go, I need to learn Portuguese. For me, it's like singing and playing double bass is my thing at this point in my life. And it's just great. And people seem to really dig it. And it's nice also from a tonality sense because, yeah, I mean, with guitars, they all live in that frequency. And when I play a bass on stage, in a theater, you've got this big hug, this big bass kind of, whoa, it's really nice kind of to give the ears a bit of a break from the scratchy electric guitar and the acoustic guitar. I mean, I hope they're not scratchy, but I think you know what I'm saying. So yeah, it's a nice tonal break.
I'd say, what piece of advice would you have for new artists? But it's pretty much all the same these days. It's work hard, turn up, do
Mm.
your own thing. What are you going to add to that?
I would add just the more autonomous you can be from the get-go. I mean,
Unique, unique.
definitely.
We might have monosyllabic
Mm,
listeners.
I think if you can do things yourself and um as opposed to kind of like being reliant on like, oh, I want to record, I need someone like by all means like, collab or utilize other people's talents and knowledge, but the more self-sufficient you can be, the better. And yeah, I see a lot of artists kind of doing that, but I also see a lot of artists getting really frustrated that I work with, and they're like, "Oh, I wish I get." I'm like, "Well, just spend the time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just worth
yeah,
spending the
yeah,
time to
yeah,
kind of, I hate to say it, but the 10,000 hours,
yeah, yeah.
maybe it's not 10,000, maybe you can get it down to 2,000, but at some
No, no,
point
no.
you've got a woodshed, and I know I did, for like just years, and I'm still, woodshedding all the time, just to like trying to figure stuff out, um, with the production stuff that I do. But I do have a skill set, and I love sharing it with people. There's that, and I think, yeah, I think you really need to, as a musician, I think the most important bit of advice I can give you as someone just starting out is listen, like really listen. Um, like because you can be great at what you do, but if you're not good at listening to the other
Yeah, I think that's.
person, it's
But
it's
I think
it's
that's
like
very conscious
language.
though too, because meditation is basically listening to yourself.
Mm,
Basically it's just being a part, and so that's where you really, if you stop and take time to, as you say, listen,
yeah,
you'll open yourself up to a whole new view of the things that you think in the first place are one thing, and they'll become
yeah.
something.
And
I think that's good advice.
the two people that have stayed with me for so long in my band, Lee and Richie, they're both, I know for a fact, because I still get surprised sometimes that they're listening to everything, um, and feeding off it. And they're playing for the song, and they're like, they know that, they've got to do their thing, and they're getting into like themselves, puts, because everyone has to like get a certain amount of enjoyment from what they're doing. It's like, damn, this is awesome. Listen to me, like you got to like, you have to vibe off yourself, of course. I know I do when I'm playing. It's just like, oh, that sounds great, but you need to listen to the other person, because it's like, otherwise you're just like, it's a conversation and you're just not even listening to the other person. It's just like have masking tape over their mouth, because it is a conversation. Music is conversing, and that's why your virtuosity, yeah, whatever, that's great, but it's personality and being able to listen is probably going to get you further than like just fireworks and being able to this amazing player. It's almost like, you know if you don't play well with others, then you're just going to be in the sand pit by yourself.
Sure, sure. Okay, here's some quick fires. What's the craziest thing you've ever done? You probably can't answer it because it's probably illegal. But
Okay, the craziest thing, I think the stupidest thing was, um, I think I just turned 20, um, and I was moved back in at home. Maybe I was 19, actually. Anyway, what does it matter? I wasn't 21 yet. And I had to move back in with my mum and dad because I was really broke, and been sort of like in share houses before that, with like moving everything around in garbage bags, that kind of scenario. But I had my two guitars. I had one main one and a spare one and a couple of pedals, the usual muso thing at that age. And my friend thought it'd be fun one day, just like we're just hanging out down the park. He was hitting golf balls, and I had my skateboard, and he was like, "I'm gonna leave now." And I said, "Hey man, give me a tow behind the car," and he did. And um, next thing you
Back to the
know,
Future.
he's in like fourth gear or something like that, and I'm probably doing like 65 k's an hour and it just like speed
Oh
wobble.
my God.
I lost it, and he thought it was hilarious. All he could see was like my shoes go up like that in his rearview mirror, and I skinned up my whole side of my body.
Oh my goodness.
This massive thing that was like took forever to heal. I mean, I survived, obviously,
Oh my
but
goodness.
I went home, and my mum, I'll never forget what my mum said, because she's a nurse, and she said, she goes, "Aren't you getting a little old for this?" And I'm like, I think you're right, Mum.
I think she's right. I think she's right.
But that was
What's the
pure. That was a case of pure boredom that day. Just
what's the one topic you can talk about for hours? Everything, it looks like.
oh yeah. Oh look, music. I love talking about music. Yeah.
Music past, or music itself. Music technical or music
Oh, just artists.
experience.
I love talking about artists and
there's so many in the past that have passed and all that sort of stuff
mm,
that were legends, especially going through. People don't realise the
yeah.
effect that Countdown had,
Um,
as an introduction
well, I
to
remember this. I remember getting home, making sure that I would get home on a Sunday so I could watch the shows that they used to program. There was a couple of shows that they put on before Countdown. There was one called Radio with Pictures, I think, or something like that. And they were just more like just bands and artists playing live with a very little kind of maybe a little bit of someone kind of introducing him, but it was just like basically like the kind of like the old grey whistle test sort of. In fact, maybe the old grey whistle test was one of the shows, but they would put a couple of music bits things on first before Countdown as a warm up, and they were the ones that I used to really love because you would actually get to see people playing. Because I knew even as a kid,
uh,
I knew everyone was miming on Countdown. I figured that out.
everyone.
Maybe a live vocal, maybe a live vocal sometimes.
Too hard to mic up in that environment with all the,
Yeah,
all
you
the
know,
crowd and
it's
dancers.
just all about the vibe. It was like, our version of Top of the Pops, I suppose.
It was. I think there's two books too now that I'm listening here. Mark, I think there's probably two books in you, not one.
Oh
So
my
there'll
God.
be another one after the first. What's the thing you like most about yourself?
Um, God, that's a hard one because I don't
You
really.
sound pretty authentic to me, and I'm not trying to piss in your pocket, but you sound
Yeah,
like you could turn up and just do you. People say you can talk, but it's not so much talking. You've got to want to talk, and so you've got to want
yeah.
to sit down and be a part of something.
Well, yeah, I like to think that I can be dropped down into any scenario and kind of sort of like figure my way out of, in it, into it. I wouldn't say out of it, but figure my way into the fold. And it's just, yeah, I mean, that's one trait I think I have. I can sort of like I'm diplomatic. I have diplomacy. I'm a good listener. I think I am. I
You
try
got
to
it. You got experience.
yeah, I try to be, agnostic and just like before you sort of you can judge people so quickly. And I've been caught out a few times. It's just like, wow, I judge that person by
Yeah,
what they
yeah.
look like, and
All
then
of
I
us.
find
All,
out about it's like listen
all
to
of
what
us.
they've got to say.
All right, here we go. These can be all time or current. This is going to end us up. Favorite album?
Jimi Hendrix smash hits.
Now he's fucking. I've seen him a lot more since we've
Every
had YouTube.
bangers.
Since we've had YouTube Shorts, I've seen him a lot more, and maybe some of them are AI, but I've seen him a lot more and a lot more performance and all that sort of stuff. And he was really legendary because I can't. I was only a 10-year-old or something rather when Woodstock happened.
Yeah.
But he was
I was
an
just getting
absolute
along.
absolute legend. And they go to the 27 Club, wasn't he? He was one of the
He
27-year-olds.
was. He was, sadly. So that or it'd be close between that or someone actually just gave me this the other day because I didn't have it on vinyl, but James Brown live at the Apollo
Oh
in
my God,
'66.
man. What a
If that
performer.
that isn't in the quality of that recording, and it's just like, I mean, this is a band that were doing talk about 9 shows a week. They were probably doing 15 shows a week. They pull into the Apollo, they're on fire, and they record it. And it's like this is the
Yeah.
epitome of a band that is at their absolute apex. And
But they're not allowed. They're not allowed in most places. They've got to eat
yeah,
out the back. They can't. They can't go. They can't stop at the service station.
and they're
There's
sleeping on the bus.
there's so much shit that they had to deal with as well, and they're
Unbelievable.
coming up with that
But
unbelievable stuff.
someone tell me about a better like drum sound, a better anything sound, and his vocal performances. The only bummer is you can't see him dancing, but you can feel it. You can feel it.
Oh, he's an enormous
Those
performer.
gaps
When
between
you
the
think,
vocals are like, he's doing the leg splits and everything. When you don't hear him sing, it's just like, oh, he must be doing the splits.
but we had simple performers who turn into amazing entertainers on stage. We had quite a few of them here with Hutchins and bloody
Oh
even
my God.
Dragon and all that sort of stuff. But
Chrissy Amphlett, God,
Chrissy Amphlett, just unbelievable, unbelievable.
unbelievable.
Favorite artist?
Oh, look, favorite artist of all time. Oh, man. I'd say today I'm just gonna say Elliott Smith because I just, for as a songwriter in his albums. another very sad, tragic story, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he took his own life and everything. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
his albums just proved to be these ongoing treasure troves of just like caves of wonder where I just go in and like Waltz number one, I think it's called. It's it just kills me. Like there is like genius is a word that I don't like use, but
He's
yeah,
a genius.
I go between Prince and Elliot. You know what I mean? Prince is just like the ultimate all-encompassing artist, as far as I'm concerned. Songwriter, musician, just so much to be had there. Like,
And no, they didn't sort of have egos. They turned up.
well, yeah, I
They
mean,
turned up
Prince.
to stuff, and you know, they didn't suffer fools, but
No,
they didn't put their, you know, head in the game
no,
too much.
no. I mean, Prince. I mean, if you look at footage of him as a kid and him out doing, you know, on the street doing protests, you know, for like equality and for like housing and stuff like that, the kid, you know, had a head on his shoulders. He
Yeah,
was already an
yeah,
altruistic kind of, you know, very. He had empathy, you
yeah,
know, for the
yeah,
world.
yeah.
And sure, you know, people would think, oh, he was an egomaniac and everything, but he, you know,
No,
that was all just his persona. He was actually a
yeah.
very living, very wise person, and the stuff that he said in the '90s about the internet is insanely accurate now.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's almost chilling. It's like holy shit. Talk about self-fulfilled prophecies. You know?
And there's no one more creative in our lifetime. He
I
was
don't think so.
as
I think
creative
it's
as they
going to
come.
take another century maybe
Yeah,
before something like that comes around again.
yeah. Maybe Jackson in terms of, you know,
Oh man,
creativity, but he was
absolutely.
it in a different way. He was more internally. You know, what came out didn't come out sort of bombastically. It just came
I
out.
think dance-wise, and vocally and songwriting, you know, Michael wasn't much of an instrumentalist, but that didn't
No,
really matter.
no.
What he did with his feet and his voice and songwriting too, you know, like yeah, incredible, amazing.
Again, when you think about it, in the time, like Countdown was on its own, Jackson was on his own, or even Elton John. You know, they were coming out with videos and all that were absolutely groundbreaking, and that's why they became so big
Yeah,
because nothing else was around. They basically made MTV. And
pretty
so
much.
and now that everything's everywhere and people can pay plenty of money and make movies and all this sort of stuff, people say that's amazing, but they don't quite have the same amazing as amazing.
No,
Favorite
it's
movie?
different amazing. Different amazing.
Yeah, favorite movie. We're going to get to
uh,
the end of this. Favorite
favorite,
movie.
favorite movie would have to be Midnight Cowboy,
Ugh,
just for the soundtrack.
ugh. Get
Yeah,
out of here. Move the car. He hits the car.
yeah.
Get out of here. What are you doing? Favorite place to visit?
Oh, Sicily.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Do you holiday there, or you've just been there a couple of times?
I've only been there once,
Oh, that's a
but
great
it's
place.
my new favorite place. I just love the food. I love the laid back.
Yeah,
It's crazy. The
yeah,
driving is frightening. The way
yeah,
they drive is,
yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
just love the whole. Oh, it's just like yeah. I
They have
love.
they have a situation over there where you're in a side street in the city or something or other, and all the traffic's piled up, and you get out of your car and you look down to see what's going on, and the guy up the front's got a little truck, and he's having an espresso with his mate on the bonnet, and
Yeah,
they just stop there having an espresso while all the other cars are just piled up behind him. They do everything their own way over there. That's
they
for
really do. I mean, we found this place on a Sunday afternoon in this tiny little town. Everything was closed because it's Sunday and it's siesta time, and we found this one guy up, and he had like a sort of a like I guess it's like the equivalent of like a Sicilian tapas. You know, he just had a little bit of cheese, he had some meats, he had some olives, and he brought it all out, and you know, it was just like
heaven.
delicious. And he was playing blues music, and it was like, what is going on? I just I had to ask him. He's like, he just loves blues, and he was just playing these
Yeah.
playlists, you know.
Maybe you got it. Maybe you got a snapshot of what heaven's like.
And I just thought, you know, this is my kind of place.
Favorite venue to play, and you played a few.
Ah, that's a hard one because they, you know, they all have something, the ones that I like.
Yeah,
But I'd have to say, um, I love the Enmore stage. It just
yeah,
has this.
Yeah, yeah.
Got this
A lot of people say that and more.
my guitar for just the way it sounds on that stage, it's just always really thick and like oh, and the PA the way it kind of comes back at you from the balcony and stuff. It just has a really good rock sound. It's really fat.
Favorite food? Talking about fat, favorite food.
Well, it's a split between Thai and Italian. Those are my two go-tos. Oh, and Japanese. Oh, it's impossible.
Everything.
Well, Japanese, Thai, Italian. Those three, the holy trilogy of food for me.
Favorite drink?
Ah, I love Earl Grey tea. I live on Earl Grey.
Really? No, you're not a coffee man.
No, I was for a while, and then I liked it too much,
Yeah, I think that's probably the problem with most of us.
and I just realized that it's like I can't sleep when I do this because I just get too cranked up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So tea is
Favorite,
much more gentle.
have you been an alcohol guy or at any
I have.
stage?
I do love a Pinot, but I haven't drunk for 2 years, so I'm kind of having a sabbatical and for the moment. When I think I've been, someone that started drinking at the age of 8, it's kind of probably a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Favorite person in history, apart from me.
Maybe from you. Oh, historically, um, I'm kind of enamored by Dr. King. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
every
yeah,
time
yeah.
every time I see footage of what he was trying to do, yeah, it really moves me.
They've got to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
Because I'm a dual national. My dad was born in Colorado, Montrose, Colorado. So I've always had an affinity. In some ways, I used to cry with the Star Spangled Banner rather than the Australian anthem,
interesting.
albeit that Waltzing Matilda used to get me going, but the
Yeah,
current one doesn't really do much. But how do you feel as a dual and
I still feel, like it's an amazing place. And when I say amazing, I think I'm still holding on. I'm not going to drop my idea of what America is, which is, a place that takes people from all over the world. That idea of a country that is for everybody, the huddled masses, the Statue of Liberty, what it stands for, all of those concepts.
yeah,
And yes, capitalism at the moment is showing its ultimately evil face,
yeah,
which,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
get me
yeah.
started on what capitalism is,
Well,
but
that's the same in our music, though, isn't it? Streaming's, I think everyone would love to be selling CDs rather than streaming because they make a few
yeah.
bucks. Streaming's just the major's way of sort of saying, fuck you.
Well, it's kind of I call it the lifeboat principle because the ship was sinking, so they grabbed the lifeboats, and then we're just sort of we're in the water with the sharks, like at the end of Titanic, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
just like
yeah,
hitting us
yeah,
with the oars, going,
yeah, yeah,
"Get
yeah,
off the boat! This is our boat."
yeah, 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 yeah,
Because
yeah.
people are still listening to music, and they've got the boats that but we've got no
But
boats.
but we can come back. Humans have been known
Yeah.
to come back, and they fought through quite a bit of stuff like you were talking about in the '60s there, and came from impossible places.
Well, I just believe in the ultimately I believe in you have to. If you start thinking that humans are a damned worst
You will be.
despicable animal on the planet, which I do say, I mean it has come out of my mouth many times, like we are the worst animal. And
Well,
people
I
are like, "What do
think.
you mean?" I'm like, "Well, we're a freaking animal, and out of all the animals on this planet, we're the worst animal." You
Yeah.
know, like, but we're not animals, we're humans. I'm like, no, we're
No,
animals.
no, we're animals. I
Yeah.
agree.
So what the fuck, like, yes, I know animals eat each other and whatever, but it's like it's not they don't have malice and they're just not and it all comes from, that whenever it started, like whenever it went from being around the campfire and then just like being survivalist to being like greedy.
Well, I
When
think
greed
I
kicked
think
in,
that's technology. I think what happened with
yeah,
technology was they invented the TVs, they invented all this sort of stuff to separate people. As soon as you come out of the town hall where the mayor's in the front seat and you're in the fifth seat, and you have a problem and you say you got to fix that, Harry. Once you start
yeah,
separating people and you can't have a voice anymore, everyone starts to become partisan, or they start to just interested in keeping their job. The fact that they haven't, the fact that the lower house hasn't done anything for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and they still get paid. The fact that they build ballrooms and have parties while they cut off food, and it's just a
Yeah.
ridiculous situation. The fact that the Republicans haven't done anything for 10 years in the Senate. It's
That's the
just a
thing.
ridiculous situation that was never what the founders had intended.
No. And
So,
let's face it, it's been broken from the start.
yeah,
I mean, the country was built on slavery and
yeah.
on immigrants, slaves, Chinese.
There's
They brought
way
in
too much. There's
the
way
gold
too
rush.
much Israel influence. There's way
It's
too
just like,
much. There's so
oh,
much. You see now. There's so much racism that was sort of wallpapered over from the 60s, 70s, 80s that Trump gave a voice to, and they come out from the woodwork. So.
they do come out because it's there all the time. That's the scary thing. It's
We'll fix it. We'll get over it. We'll get over
well,
it.
I mean,
When you bring your book out, you'll talk about it.
I still believe the vast majority of people are not. They just want to hug their
Yep.
kids. They want a decent job. They want a health care
Yep.
that is not broken.
Yep. Yep.
Live a decent life like people in Sweden or, you know.
No, I know. When you think about it, I think what's her name over there in the I can't remember her name, but she was saying you take 0.5% or 1% off everyone that's got over $100 million or something or other, or whatever it is, maybe even $500 million.
Billie Eilish.
Yeah, whoever it is, you can pay for all healthcare, you can pay for all education, you can pay for all these things, and it's like just a pittance. I read somewhere it was like back in the 30s and 40s they were paying like 60 or something percent in tax,
Yeah,
and now the average billionaire pays like 5% or 7%,
man,
something like that.
it's absurd.
It's absurd. It's absurd. All right, favorite tattoo.
Favorite tattoo. I don't have any tattoos.
Oh, come on. You are not a clean skin.
I'm actually clean skin. Yeah, I'm
You've
saving
never
that one.
got a tattoo.
I'm saving that one for for later in my life. I'll just get like
You have been
completely.
around. I'll bet you've been around tattooists
You know what?
all over
I've
the
got
place.
I have I've got two holes in my ear from having earrings when I was a teenager, but no tattoos. I've got piercings, but no tats.
Well, I tell you, and I'm not pissing your pocket, but this has been an everyman conversation, and I've really enjoyed it. It'd be one of those things where, I'd love to, talk for a few hours and write down a bit of stuff and, start to put the book together. No, I
There's
don't.
always next time.
There's always next time. Good on you, man. Well, thank you very
Thanks.
much. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, I really
Uh,
enjoyed it, man. Thank you.
so have a great tour. When's the tour start?
January 31 in Tassie, or 30, January 30, I think. Yeah,
And it goes for how long?
till beginning of March.
And it
April,
hits
actually, it goes into April. What am I talking about? Yeah, it goes
and
into
it
April.
hits regionals.
Does hit regionals as well as capital cities and Alice Springs. I haven't been to Alice Springs in 20 something years, so we're getting around.
It's hot up there. It's hot up there. You might have to drink iced tea rather than
Yeah.
Earl Grey. And what about the album? We're not going to know what it's called, but it's coming out next year. You promised.
Well,
You promised it'll be.
the working title is at the moment is Disco Dystopia. That's what it's called.
Well, I tell you, whoever's made it this far, go out and check out Diesel's music, and just wait for his book. Send him some request to say
Yeah,
we want to see your book.
we're
Well,
gonna get cracking on it.
Barnsy's an author. Forget
Oh, he
about a
sure is.
muso. He's got books coming out from everywhere.
He's definitely put nose to the grindstone on that one.
So I think it's time you followed him. I'll buy it for sure. We'll promote it.
I really need to learn to type first.
You don't have to do anything anymore with
No,
AI. You just talk.
I can talk
You
and
could even tell the whole story. You could probably say, write Diesel's life story and probably give you the whole book.
Oh yeah.
That's another conversation that scares the shit out of me.
No, it's got to be in my words. I can tell you that.
Good on you,
Um,
man. Well, thanks, Mark. Thank you very
you.
much. Namaste.
Yeah, namaste.
It's been a real pleasure.
Cheers, buddy.
All the best.
Have a great day.
You too. You too.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.